$50 billion. That is the amount of money Americans spend every year visiting the same 40 tourist towns on repeat. Nashville, Charleston, Sedona, Savannah. And every travel channel on this platform hands you those same destinations as if the other 19,000 incorporated towns in this country simply do not exist. You've been lied to about America. Somewhere out there is a town where the mayor is a cat. A town where the population is exactly one person. A town where the dead outnumber the living 1,000 to 1. A town where cell phones and Wi-Fi are illegal by federal law. And a town on the Utah-Arizona border where plural marriage was the unofficial rule for 80 years. And where the first legal distillery opened in June of 2025 in a community that banned alcohol for a century. Every one of these places is a real, incorporated American town you can visit this weekend. And everyone has been quietly filtered out of your travel recommendations because tourism boards do not know how to sell them. What follows is a countdown of the 13 weirdest towns in America in 2026, ranked from surprisingly strange to genuinely unbelievable. Hit subscribe right now because the algorithm never recommends these, and this is the only place you will see them ranked in one video. Let us begin. Number 13. Colon, Michigan, population 1,200, and more professional magicians per capita than anywhere else on planet Earth. Colon is a village in southwestern Michigan that the United States Congress has officially recognized as the magic capital of the world. That is a resolution on the record. The town has 3 magic manufacturing companies, 3 magic retail shops, and a cemetery containing at least 42 working magicians, more than any other burial ground on the planet. The origin story starts in the 1920s, when Harry Blackstone Sr., one of the most famous stage illusionists of his era, bought a 200-acre farm on Sturgeon Lake. He was joined by an Australian magician named Percy Abbott, who founded Abbott Magic Company in 1934. The annual magic get-together every August still draws thousands of magicians from around the world. The high school mascot is called the Magi. The rabbit representing them is named Hare E. Blackstone. Real estate listings probably say 3-bed, 2-bath, comes with a rabbit. When a magician is buried in Colon, the community performs a broken wand ceremony at graveside. Snapping the wand marks the end of that illusionist's career, which is fitting because Congress declared Colon a magic capital, and Congress has struggled to agree on almost anything else since. Would you get buried in Colon for the honor? Drop your answer in the comments. Number 12, Talkeetna, Alaska. About 110 miles north of Anchorage sits a town whose mayor is a cat. Talkeetna is technically unincorporated, which means it legally cannot have a mayor. That did not stop the residents. In 1997, the general store manager adopted a Manx mix with a short tail and named him Stubbs. When elections came around and every human candidate on the ballot annoyed the town, Talkeetnans wrote in the cat, Stubbs won. He held office for 20 years until his passing in 2017, when duties passed to 2 Manx kittens named Denali and Aurora. Stubbs was not a symbolic figurehead. He drank catnip-infused water from a wine glass at the West Rib pub every afternoon. He survived being shot with an air rifle, falling into a deep fryer, and getting caught in a garbage truck. He was eulogized in the cable news network and Smithsonian Magazine when he passed. Talkeetna also inspired the fictional Sicily, Alaska, in the show Northern Exposure. It hosts a moose dropping festival every July, where moose droppings are flung from a helicopter and spectators bet on where they land. Aurora the cat has a perfect approval rating, has never raised taxes, and has never blocked legislation. Somewhere in America, there is a 2-term county commissioner who has done less and gotten paid more. Number 11, Cassadaga, Florida. 50 miles north of Orlando is a small, unincorporated community that has officially named itself the psychic capital of the world, and 43 certified mediums live and work there full-time. Cassadaga was founded in 1894 by a New York spiritualist named George Colby, who claimed a Native American spirit guide named Seneca led him to that specific patch of Volusia County during a seance held in Iowa. The whole camp was declared a National Register Historic District in 1991. To become a Cassadaga certified medium, you have to complete 4 to 6 years of rigorous education. That is longer than most therapists spend in graduate school. Readings cost between $50 and $200 per hour. The camp bookstore keeps a physical binder of medium biographies and a whiteboard listing who is available for walk-in sessions. It is the only place in America where who is available today is answered by looking at a whiteboard instead of an app. Camp policy is mental mediumship only. No tarot cards, no crystal balls. There is a fairy trail on the grounds, marked as a vortex of concentrated psychic energy. Next door is the Cassadaga Hotel, built in 1922, widely reputed to be haunted and still open for guests. Hit subscribe if you would actually book a reading. Number 10, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. On the night of November 15, 1966, 2 young couples were driving near an abandoned munitions dump when they saw something in the headlights. 6 to 7 feet tall, ashen gray wings folded against its back. 2 glowing red eyes. They fled. Reports say the creature followed their car until it reached city limits, gliding at speeds up to 100 miles per hour without a single flap of its wings. The next morning, the Point Pleasant Register ran the greatest local newspaper headline of the 20th century. Quote, "Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something," end quote. Over the next 13 months, dozens more sightings were logged. Then on December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge over the Ohio River collapsed during rush hour, killing 46 people. Locals connected the two events. Mothman, they said, was a harbinger. Point Pleasant did what any American town would do when handed a paranormal disaster prophecy. They monetized it. There is now a 12-foot polished stainless steel Mothman statue downtown, a Mothman museum, and an annual Mothman festival every third weekend of September, drawing crowds in the tens of thousands. West Virginia has fewer than 2 million people and has produced 4 documented cryptids: Mothman, the Flatwoods Monster, the Grafton Monster, and the Sheep Squatch. Most towns get a bronze statue of their founder. Point Pleasant got a giant winged man with visible abs. Number 9. Roswell, New Mexico. On July 8, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating that they had recovered a flying disc from a ranch outside town. The Air Force retracted the statement within 24 hours and said it was actually a weather balloon. Roswell has never forgiven them, and Roswell has never let it go. Today, every streetlight on Main Street is shaped like an alien head, not decorated, shaped. Almond eyes, gray skin, the entire cartoon package. The local fast food restaurant is built to look like a flying saucer. The International UFO Museum attracts around 150,000 visitors every year. Every July, the town hosts a UFO festival featuring alien costume parades, alleged abduction survivors as guest speakers, and a pet costume contest where people dress their dogs like little green men. The city welcome sign says "Aliens Welcome." Walgreens has alien-themed decor. The New Mexico Military Institute is in Roswell, and cadets march past alien murals in full-dress uniform without breaking stride. Roswell is what happens when a town looks at a government cover-up and decides it should be the marketing plan. Every year, the town throws a festival for a crash the Air Force officially denies happened. And every year, the Air Force does not show up to comment, which is either evidence of nothing or evidence of everything. Number 8. Estes Park, Colorado. A 125-year-old Norwegian pensioner is currently frozen headfirst in a 10-foot stainless steel tube filled with liquid nitrogen, cooled to negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit. He is on display behind a velvet rope in the ice house of a Colorado hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Shining. His name is Bredo Morstel. He died in Norway in 1989 of a heart condition. His grandson, a committed cryonics believer named Trygve Bauge, shipped the body to Colorado and stored it in a tough shed on a hill above the town of Nederland for nearly 30 years. An iceman named Bo Schaffer drove out twice a month to top off the dry ice, roughly 1,600 pounds at a time. Nederland eventually passed a law making it illegal to store a frozen human being on private property. Grandpa Bredo was grandfathered in. Then in August of 2023, he was moved by a team from Alcor Life Extension Foundation to the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, where the historic ice house was converted into the International Cryonics Museum. He is submerged upside down, so his brain stays in the coldest zone of the tube, awaiting a future breakthrough that will allow his revival. The Stanley Hotel is the actual hotel where Stephen King stayed in 1974, in room 217, and had the nightmare that became The Shining. That room is now the most requested reservation with a wait list. Every March, Estes Park hosts Frozen Dead Guy Days, coffin races, polar plunges, a parade of hearses, a formal gala called the Royal Blue Ball, described in the marketing as prom for the undead. Elk graze in front of the hotel entrance, guests take selfies, and 30 yards away, behind velvet rope, a very cold Norwegian waits for the future to invent his resurrection. Like this video if you would visit that museum. Number 7. Rachel, Nevada. 50 people live in Rachel. There is one motel, one bar, one restaurant, one gift shop, and they are all the same building. Rachel sits on Nevada State Route 375, a 98-mile stretch of desert highway that the state officially renamed the Extraterrestrial Highway in 1996. Rachel is the closest civilian town to Area 51, the classified United States Air Force facility that officially does not exist and where trespassers are not welcomed by anyone friendly. The center of Rachel is a place called the Little LA Inn. Its sign reads, "Earthlings Welcome." Outside, there is a replica spy plane and a tow truck attending to a broken-down UFO. The menu serves the alien burger and pours the alien amber ale. Rachel is the specific United States zip code with the highest number of reported UFO sightings per capita. In 2019, a viral Facebook event called Storm Area 51 drew thousands to Rachel for an overflow music festival called Alien Stock. No one actually breached the base. The machine guns were persuasive, but the town made a fortune on merchandise. There is no gas station in Rachel, no cell service. The nearest fuel is over an hour away. What you get in return is one of the darkest night skies in North America. And if the sky occasionally does something the sky is not supposed to do, well, that is why you drove 98 miles in the first place. Number 6. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is the only major city on this list, and that is by design. Every quirk this city has could power an entire small town's tourism economy. And New Orleans is stacking 12 of them on top of each other. Start with the cemeteries. There are 42 above-ground cities of the dead in New Orleans, because the water table is so high that a traditional grave would push the coffin back up like a cork. St. Louis Cemetery, number 1, is over 300 years old, and the tomb of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau is one of the most visited graves in America. There is also a 9-foot-tall white pyramid tomb inside the cemetery, purchased in 2010 by Nicolas Cage, sitting empty, waiting. He bought that tomb 15 years before he needed it, which is honestly the most Nicolas Cage decision ever made. Then there is voodoo, which is not a Halloween aesthetic here. It is a living syncretic religion that blends West African spiritual traditions with French Catholicism, developed during colonial slavery. Congo Square in Armstrong Park was where enslaved Africans held drum circles and voodoo ceremonies, and the tradition continues today. Then there are the drinking laws. Louisiana open container rules let you walk out of any bar on Bourbon Street with your cocktail in a plastic Go Cup and continue drinking as you stroll. If you would rather not leave your car, drive through Daiquiri Shop's hand-frozen alcoholic beverages through a service window. The legal loophole is that the employee does not put the straw in the lid. You do that yourself, which technically means the drink was not open when it left the premises. Real estate listings in New Orleans sometimes specify haunted or not haunted, as if it is a normal amenity like central air conditioning. Which in New Orleans it is. Subscribe if this is your kind of city. Number 5. Green Bank, West Virginia. Cell phones are banned. Wi-Fi is banned. Microwaves are banned unless kept in a metal cage. Television broadcasts are banned. Radio stations are banned. This is not a lifestyle brand. This is federal law. Green Bank, West Virginia, population 143, sits inside the National Radio Quiet Zone. It covers 13,000 square miles across the eastern half of West Virginia and parts of Virginia, and it was established by the federal government in 1958 to protect one of the most sensitive scientific instruments on Earth. That instrument is the Robert C. Byrd Green Bank Telescope, 485 feet tall, 17 million pounds. A dish spanning 2 full acres. A single cell phone within 10 miles emits enough radio noise to drown out signals the telescope is trying to catch from distant galaxies. So the rules are absolute. Phone booths still stand on rural roads because landlines are the only game in town. Paper maps are routine. There is a small station called Allegheny Mountain Radio that broadcasts at a low enough frequency to slip under the legal ceiling. And there is a radio policeman who drives around with detection equipment sniffing for rogue signals. The community has also become a magnet for people who describe themselves as electromagnetically hypersensitive, meaning they believe cell signals make them physically ill. Dozens have relocated to Green Bank in the last decade. Green Bank kids grow up without social media, not because their parents forbid it, because the town does. Would you last a weekend? Comment below. Number 4. Colma, California. Picture this. You are driving south from San Francisco on a fog-laced October morning. You cross the county line into a town of 2.2 square miles. And within those 2.2 square miles, you count 17 cemeteries. Everywhere you look, rolling green lawns, ornate mausoleums, marble crosses. Weather, beaten granite. This is Colma, and the dead here outnumber the living by roughly 1,000 to 1. 1,600 people live in Colma. 1.5 million people are buried there. The reason this happened is a story about San Francisco real estate that no one ever tells. In the year 1900, San Francisco was struck by an epidemic of bubonic plague, and rumors spread that the city's cemeteries were leaking contagion into the air. Simultaneously, San Francisco was in the middle of a gold boom, and every square foot of land inside the city was becoming worth more than most Americans would earn in a lifetime. So the city banned new burials in 1900. Then, between 1920 and 1941, over 150,000 bodies were exhumed from San Francisco graveyards and shipped south to Colma. Some got proper reburials, many did not. The Laurel Hill Mound in Colma contains an estimated 38,000 bodies in an unmarked mass grave, because the surviving relatives could not afford the $10 reburial fee. Priceless family crypts and hand-carved gravestones were dumped into San Francisco Bay to create breakwaters at Aquatic Park and the St. Francis Yacht Club. Today, the famous permanent residents of Colma include Wyatt Earp, the Old West gunfighter, Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper, William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper tycoon, Levi Strauss, the denim founder, And in the local pet cemetery, Tina Turner's dog, buried with one of her fur coats. The town's official motto, once featured on its government website, is, quote, "It is great to be alive in Colma," end quote. Like this video, if that is the darkest civic slogan you have ever heard. Number 3, Slab City, California. Picture this. You are driving east from San Diego on a 2-lane highway. The Sonoran Desert stretches for miles in every direction. Temperature outside your car is 118 degrees. Cell signal died an hour ago, and then out of the shimmering heat rises a hill of pure color. Reds, yellows, blues, greens, 3 stories tall, covered in 100,000 gallons of dripping latex paint. God is love, 10 feet tall, painted in flowing script across the summit. Welcome to Slab City, the last free place in America. Slab City is a squatter community built on 640 acres of concrete slabs left behind when a World War II Marine Corps base called Camp Dunlap was decommissioned in 1956. There is no electricity, no running water, no sewage system, no garbage collection, no property taxes, and no formal law enforcement. About 150 people live in Slab City year-round, but the population balloons to 4,000 in the winter when snowbirds arrive in recreational vehicles to escape northern cold. The mountain at the entrance is called Salvation Mountain. It was built over 28 years by a man named Leonard Knight, who devoted the last 3 decades of his life to layering adobe hay bales and donated paint into a single religious art installation in the middle of the desert. The Folk Art Society of America has declared his creation a national folk art shrine. Next to Slab City is East Jesus, an outdoor sculpture collective built entirely from recycled materials, a wall constructed from old television sets, a house that appears to be sinking into the sand, a repurposed 50s Greyhound bus, now someone's permanent home. Summer in Slab City kills. Some residents die from heat exposure every year because there is no air conditioning and no infrastructure. The California State Lands Commission has repeatedly considered selling the land to private developers, most recently in 2025. The last free place in America may not be free for much longer. And that is the thing about anarchy in the desert. It only works until the state remembers it owns the ground you are standing on. Number 2, Monowee, Nebraska. Picture this. You pull off a 2-lane country road in northeastern Nebraska, 5 miles south of the South Dakota border. You drive down an empty main street, vacant houses, a shuttered post office, a grain elevator no one has used in decades. And then, at the end of the road, you see a single lit sign, Monowee Tavern. You walk inside. Behind the bar is a 92-year-old woman named Elsie Eiler, and she is the entire town. Monowee is the least populous incorporated village in the United States. Total population, 1. Total area, 0.21 square miles. And every job that a town needs done, Elsie Eiler does personally. She is the mayor. She is the town clerk. She is the treasurer. She is the secretary. She is the librarian. She is the tavern owner. She is the bartender. And she is the only person on the tax rolls. Every year, she officially elects herself mayor. Every year, she files her own village municipal road plan with the state. Every year, she grants herself her own liquor license. And every year, she pays her own property taxes to a village government that is entirely herself. Monowee was not always this way. In the 1930s, it had 150 residents, a grocery store, a church, a school, and its own prison. Then the railroad died. The farming automated. The children moved away. By the year 2000, only 2 people were left. Elsie and her husband Rudy. He passed in 2004. She's been alone ever since. She runs the Monowee Tavern 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, serves burgers, hot dogs, and cold beer. Tourists visit from all 50 states and dozens of countries. And she keeps a guest map behind the bar with pushpins for every visitor. She founded the Rudy Eiler Memorial Library in her late husband's honor. 5,000 books, all donated. Elsie is not lonely. She told a reporter once, quote, "It is like one big family," end quote. Monowee has 100% voter turnout every election. The mayor has a 100% approval rating. And the town council, which is also Elsie, has never had a motion voted down. Subscribe for more stories like Elsie's. Number 1. Colorado City, Arizona, and Hilldale, Utah. The twin towns of Colorado City, Arizona, and Hilldale, Utah sit directly on the state border. 5,000 people total. Locals call the combined community Short Creek. And for 8 decades, Short Creek was the American headquarters of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, better known outside the community as one of the most notorious polygamy cults in United States history. Picture this. You drive into Short Creek on a summer afternoon. Every house looks identical. Beige, mint green, 3 stories, no ornamentation, arranged in strict grids. Women in ankle-length prairie dresses with elaborate braided hairstyles walk down sidewalks in silence. Children look at your car and then look away. And on Main Street, straddling the state line, sits a functioning craft distillery serving vodka and gin in a town where alcohol was completely banned for 100 years. That is the paradox of Short Creek in 2026. The community was founded in 1935 by a Mormon breakaway sect that refused to give up plural marriage after the mainstream Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints banned polygamy in 1890. For almost 70 years, state authorities looked the other way. Then in 2002, a man named Warren Jeffs took over as prophet. He imposed harsher rules. He assigned wives to husbands and reassigned them at will. He exiled hundreds of teenage boys to reduce competition for young brides. He arranged marriages between adult men and girls as young as 12. In 2005, Jeffs was placed on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. He was captured in 2006. In 2011, he was convicted in Texas of sexually assaulting 2 girls, ages 12 and 15, and sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years. Then, in December of 2024, a splinter cult leader named Samuel Bateman was sentenced to 50 years in federal prison for the same pattern of abuse on a smaller scale. 20 spiritual wives, 10 of them underage, some as young as 9 years old. But here is where the story turns. The court sees the church trust. 200 homes were taken from members who refused to pay occupancy fees. Families started leaving. And in the last 5 years, Short Creek has done something no one in Arizona or Utah predicted. It started rebranding. Edge of the World Brewery opened in 2018. Short Creek Spirits Distillery opened in June of 2025, serving craft gin and vodka. A winery opened, a grocery store, new restaurants. Willie Jessup, the former sex spokesman who eventually broke from the group, put it best, quote, "We call it life after Jeffs. And frankly, it is a great life," end quote. Short Creek is what happens when a cult collapses and the community underneath decides finally to build something else. Like this video if you learned something new. That was our countdown of the 13 weirdest towns in America in 2026. From a village of magicians in Michigan to a city of the dead in California, to a polygamy compound on the Utah-Arizona border that just opened its first legal distillery, this country has stranger corners than any travel guide will ever tell you about. 3 quick asks before you go. First, hit the like button, because the algorithm buries this kind of content unless viewers physically tell it not to. Second, subscribe to the channel, because next week we are covering the 10 most abandoned towns in America where you can legally live for free right now. Third, drop a comment telling me which of these 13 towns you would actually visit. I read every single comment, and the top choice is going into next month's video. Thanks for spending this time with us. We will see you in the next one.